Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Doghouse with Mills Animal Hospital. My name is Elijah, and I am joined by Naya and Dr. Mills today.
Hey, everyone. How are you?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Elijah, how are you?
I'm good. I had off today, so it was very nice.
I bet.
Very true. Gotta catch up on a lot of sleep.
So, everyone, welcome to the pilot episode of our podcast. The goal of this podcast is just kind of all things veterinary, going through a lot of the stuff that the staff has been through. We'll do some educational stuff as well, and just include a lot of people from our staff and in the animal hospital. So today, as our pilot episode, we are doing a kind of talk with Dr. Mills, how she got started in the industry, what led her to being a practice owner, and all of that. So my first question is really just kind of going back. What inspired you to get into veterinary medicine in the first place?
I just had this innate need in my heart when I was little. I still remember the very first time I saw an animal, and I remember just having this just need to help them. And I used to sneak feral cats into my window. This is a real thing. I used to sneak these cats in my window. Every night I would feed them. And there was one cat that had a dock tail, and I thought he was hurt at the time because I was only 4. And I remember trying to fix this other cat's leg with Scotch tape and toilet paper. My brother was allergic, and then after a couple emergency visits to the hospital with Tad, my mom figured it out that I was sneaking cats in my bed.
At the age of 4, that's pretty
At the
impressive.
age of 4,
That's
impressive. Feeding them and fixing all the neighborhood cats.
Were you doing it with a little bought from the store medical kit for kids?
No, I was resourceful. I went into my home and I said, what can I get? I went to my fridge and I went to my cabinets and I got toilet paper and I got Scotch tape and I was like, this'll do.
So your parents just never walked in the room and saw them?
It was always at night when everyone was sleeping. They would
sleeping.
scratch at my window and wake me up.
Aww.
I mean, at that point, it's got to be
several cats.
word of mouth from cat to cat.
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
go to this
Spreading
place.
the message.
Yeah, it's a real thing. My brother went to the emergency clinic a couple times, and so my mom figured it out.
Wow.
Yeah,
I think
it's a real thing. But I knew then that I wanted to save them for the rest of my life.
I think I remember we were doing one room and you mentioned that you wanted to do aquatic animals.
Yeah. So I'm from Florida. I'm from South Florida. And so I grew up, always wanting to fix all the problems in the world. And there's a lot of problems with aquatic animals, specifically with the marine mammals, obviously, dolphins and sea turtles, and manatees. So, their numbers were dwindling back when I was younger and I was living in South Florida. So it went from that to, okay, well, I'll just save those animals, right? Those are the ones that are in the biggest, the biggest need. So when I was younger, that's absolutely what I want to do. So then I learned about, cats and dogs and horses and large animal. And so I did initially, I wanted to save them all. I wanted to do conservation medicine. I wanted to get into, all the things. And then as I got older and went through, all of my animal science courses and into veterinary school, I realized, okay, well, I can't be amazing at everything in the world. But I can definitely narrow it down and be amazing at what I do now.
And hence we're at dogs and cats right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's
And
exactly
the occasional farm animals and
Oh,
goats
yes.
and stuff.
Occasionally.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess also kind of so leading up after vet school and everything. Well, hold on. Back up first.
Okay.
You were tech first.
Yeah, I was.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
Talk about what got you in.
My very first job, I was 16. I was a couple months shy of 17. I, was on track. I was on track to go to vet school, and I was given some advice from UGA that I needed some veterinary experience, and I had volunteered at shelters and things like that. So I went ahead and volunteered at a clinic in Marietta called Averill Animal Hospital at the time, and then eventually was hired on within a week, I think. into the kennel. I worked there for about 3.5, 4 years, and then went back to vet school, and they said, and I was in college at this point, and they said, well, I really need you to have more like varied experiences. One clinic wasn't going to do it for them, so I was like, okay. So I went off and I did some large animal medicine with a veterinarian named Ricky Poe, East Paulding Animal Hospital. And then I also kind of I worked at another clinic, ended up becoming an RVT, a licensed veterinary, a registered veterinary technician. And then I worked all through college as a technician until I went to vet school. I even worked the first 2 years in vet school as well. Every holiday and summer off, I worked as much as I could.
Did you do undergrad at UGA as well?
I didn't. I went to Kennesaw State University because it's local here.
Because I needed vet school at UGA.
I did. I went to UGA for vet school. I went to Kennesaw State University. It's it's local, but also all the clinics in this area. So I've worked at Lake City Animal Hospital, Ackworth Animal Hospital, Butler Creek, Cedar Crest Animal Hospital. I've worked at pretty much every single clinic in this area: Kennesaw, Ackworth, Marietta, Kennesaw, Kennesaw Veterinary Services. Like, I've worked at all of them, and it's amazing that I did that. I'm so thankful that I was given that advice, because I got to see so many different processes and so many different ways that different clinics do different things, and different clientele and different teams and how they function and what to do and what not to do. And so it was really good advice, and I wish I could find the person that told me to get a variety of because that person thought it was going to help me with vet school, but it actually really helped me with my career, to be honest. It really shaped me. Yeah, that's good. It shaped me into who I am today.
It's why it's always fun going out to dinner with Dr. Mills, because she's going to run into someone she knows.
Oh my gosh, yes.
The veterinary community is definitely very small. We definitely know each other, and I love that about us.
What experience did you come across with a animal that made you be like, maybe I'm second guessing if I want to do this?
So I'll be honest. So I really did want to work with horses. Like, I was really, really wanting to do that. And then, sorry UGA, but I'm going to call you out on this. My freshman year, they played us like a 45-minute video of like how to be safe with large animal, because they do require that we're around large animal, whether we're on that track or not. And I was on the track when I went into vet school. Up until my second year, I was on the track to do all animals. And they played us a 45-minute video of basically just injury after injury after injury, and it was like horses killing people and kicking people and being attacked by bulls, and it was just, and I was like, I could live my life not worried about this. Like, I think I love horses and I can have them as pets. And I can work on my own horses. But going to different people's houses and getting murdered by a horse, I just didn't want to do that. So
it's not part of my vision.
I decided I'm okay. That's not what I want to do. And I feel like God just led me in a different direction at that time. So I changed my track, and I said, what? I'm gonna stick with small animal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how we got here. I appreciate it. I love it.
You're like, I love that happened to you, so that you're here.
That's like how I was, because at the first clinic I ever worked at, we did the head doctor there, very much small animal, but he had one friend that he would do large animal with, and there was only 2 guys at the clinic. The other guy I worked with was just very much like, no, not going anywhere, not leaving this clinic, all that stuff. So I got to go for the ride, and we dealt with goats, all that stuff all day. But then we get to the horse, and the horse, they were trying to mate horses, and that was a very interesting experience, because the female decided she did not want to be mated, and basically when she kicked the gate, it swung back and almost hit my doctor. And he, of course, was laughing, and I'm kind of like, don't know if I want to deal with something that can kick me and like send me flying.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that. Like, I do have to explain some experiences that I had. So before vet school, I was already questioning it, because in that time that I got to work with that amazing large animal veterinarian at the time, and got to volunteer and go in the truck. You know, we would spend like an hour in the mud and rain, like wrangling horses and goats and cows and get dirty and gross, and it was just not me. Like, look at me. Do I look like I like to play in the mud? You know, I was just like, you know, I don't think this is for me. And so I was already questioning it at the time. Like, do I really want to chase horses and cows and goats in the mud and the rain and the weather? And then I went to vet school, and then they showed that video, and I was like, okay, this checks out.
Made up your mind.
I made it up right then.
I mean, we couldn't have Dr. Mills dressed to the nines like she always is, wrestling a
She would have
horse in the
changed
middle
the
of
whole
nowhere.
game. She would have changed the whole game.
I would have changed the game of large animal, wouldn't I?
Look here.
I would have been like, you know what? We're going to do it like this.
Oh my
And-
gosh. That would be
I
impressive. She would have had her own show.
I could totally picture Dr. Mills driving into someone's house in the mom van, pulling out
Mom van.
got all her veterinary stuff in the back, and she's
Yep.
coming out in
I'm going to be like, no, the horse comes to me.
Yep. Stylish boots, dressed to the nines.
They're not even like regular. They're like rain boots
Yep.
type style.
All right, let's go. I'm good.
Let's
do
like
this
a regular
thing.
doctor bag. It's a purse. I like that. That's
I
awesome.
love it. I love it. You guys are you know me so well.
So obviously we're sitting at the Ackworth location right now.
Yeah.
Your pride and joy, your baby.
My
and
baby.
stuff where you
my
got
vision,
started.
My
Kinda-
dream came true.
When did you decide that, hey, I don't want to just work in the field. I want to own my own practice and
So
know it.
actually, I knew that so that's another thing. So I always knew I wanted to own my own clinic. Again, it was just a vision that I got placed on my heart when I was little. I remember going to the vet when I taking our dog. So when I was little, my mom bred our Cocker Spaniel, and those puppies weren't doing well. And so we had to go to the veterinarian, and then I had to help nurse them because mom wasn't producing enough milk. And I just was so fascinated by learning, okay, why is she not producing milk? And how do we, I just very inquisitive child. And I remember sitting in the waiting room, and this vet you're in South Florida, veterinarian, this is literally the vision I had. So in this clinic, in the front lobby, there was this little girl, and she has a stethoscope. Is a picture of this little girl, and she has a stethoscope in her ears, and and then there's these line of animals, waiting for her to see them. And I remember seeing that vision, and I just remember sitting there as a little kid. Gosh, I probably was 6 at this time, and was like, I'm gonna own my own clinic. This is gonna be this. What I was in that day, in that day, I was like, I'm gonna have this one day. I promise you, that's always been the vision. And then. So it was my 3 to 5 year. It was my 3 to 5 year goal. I'm going to be out of vet school. I want to learn how to be the best vet I can be. And come 3 to 5 years, I'm going to own a clinic. Mm-hmm. And then when that, I was starting to approach that 5 years, I remember being like, all right, Michelle, you made yourself a promise. You're going to do this. And I had been asking every vet I had ever worked for, can you sell me your practice? Mm-hmm. And at the time, none of them wanted to sell. And those who did want to sell wanted way more money than I had, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start one up, and that's how Ackworth happened.
Okay,
so
start
I
from
just
fresh.
I was like, I'm just gonna start it up, and I'm gonna have faith that it's gonna blossom into what we have today.
And it did.
Well, because I know, you've told me stories about what it was like when you were starting and all that stuff. Kind of go into that, because I know it was pretty much just bare bones.
It was bare
Day
bones.
one.
Yeah. So day one, it was me and my husband, Sean. So I have to back up a little bit. In vet school, I took, in college, back up even more. In college, I took business courses. I was always preparing for this day. I always learned, what does it look like? How is that going to look? How am I going to do it? In vet school, I took specific veterinary courses on, startup practices or buying a practice and how that looks. And I knew that there's a good chance starting up a clinic, I would not have a paycheck for, 1 to 2 years. And so I had been saving my entire life for the day that I opened my own clinic. And so, we didn't. So, that first 2 years, it was me and my husband, we didn't take a paycheck. We worked on, we lived off of savings. We first opened the doors. It was just me and him for a few months. My best friend, Brittany, I love her so much. She was like, I'll just work for free. And she did. There were some times that she did work for free because she was so she was just so devoted to our vision and what we wanted to accomplish. She knew what our goals were, and it was to provide the best quality medicine. And that's what she wanted to. And so as soon as I could hire her, pay her money, I was like, okay, today's the day. Come work. I can pay you money. She's like, okay. And then it was just me, her, and Sean for a little while. I had my kids. We had our kids. My daughter was 6 months old the day the doors opened. My youngest daughter. So I had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. 6-month-old, 2-year-old. They were, I had a nanny. I hired a nanny. They were in the nursery area in the clinic I had built for them. And then it just kind of, I don't know, like it's a blur from there. Like it was me and Sean, then it was me, Sean, and Brittany, and then it's like, here we are, 25 awesome. Employees and an amazing family that I love and hold dear to my heart.
Now, you did mention you work with your husband. How is that? That's a
church
brave
and state.
move.
Yeah, so church and state for sure. We have rules where you don't talk about work at home. We try not to talk about home at work. If I have to, it's really weird. I'm like, hey, let's talk about home for a second. There's a thing I have to tell you. Okay, it's over. All right, moving on. Yeah. Like we have to.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back to Dr. Mills and Sean. But yeah, so it's definitely a church and state, and marriage in itself that's a whole nother podcast we can have a conversation about. But you always have to work on it, and that's what we do.
I'm sure you guys make it look easy though.
Thank you. Thank you. I do love my husband. Yeah.
Well, kind of going back, because I think one of the most impressive things is where we are in Ackworth is already a very kind of saturated area, is what I would say, in the vet field. Because there's a ton of clinics around us. There's probably within like a 5-mile radius. And I think one of the most impressive things is not only have you started a clinic here and kept it open for years, but you've become very successful in the area. And I think one of the big things that is part of that is how you do things differently. And so I kind of wanted you to talk a little bit about that, because it's also like why you like to tell us all the time why you hired each of us.
Yeah. So, well, it goes back to my experiences. Sometimes when you're on the way to success, it feels like failure. That's real, right? So I felt, I love our industry. I love veterinary medicine. I love our community. We're a bunch of amazing people. But I had some not so great experiences. I had, some toxic environments that I was subjected to. And I saw a lot of what not to do and how not to treat people. And I'm so grateful for those experiences. I'm so grateful for the things that I witnessed, because it taught me, what do I actually value, right? Like my whole life I wanted to open a practice because I wanted to provide the best patient care possible, and I felt like somehow that gets lost along the way, right? Somewhere along the way, I just felt like that gets lost. And, that's what I started. It was just, that was my focus. That was my light at the end of the tunnel. I can provide the best patient care possible, but I wanted to do it in an environment where people are loved and accepted and supported and just a part of a family, really. I mean, that's the simplest way put. So because of that, that is my primary focus, is that we have a culture in which we support each other, we lift each other up, we are a team, we are a family, we communicate, we are positive, we have compassion. Like, we have certain core values here at Mills Animal Hospital, right? We recite them almost every day. It's teamwork, respect, integrity, quality, compassion, communication. Did I miss any?
Equals balance.
Equals balance. And it's really, really important, because it's what shapes us, and that's what we hire by. That's what we live by, and that's what we fire by. And thankfully, we haven't had to to fire. I mean, I can't say that. There's been a couple, but essentially, you know, I can train skill anytime. Okay, but I need you to be a good person, and I need you to be in this for the patients. But I also need you to like love each other, right?
Right.
And that's all you need to be successful here.
I will say that does make a difference because in my experience, starting at the age of shadowing at 15, starting at 16, the people I've come across in this field have definitely played a role in how the patients react. So I've experienced a lot more aggressive animals throughout my life in this field, but coming here, I will say they understand, they're mellow, they try to work with us, or if they do get aggressive, it's not instantly, I'm going to attack your face, or just like,
that's
look,
a
I'm
real
letting
thing.
you know.
I really truly believe that just like humans feed off of each other, I think animals feed off of us. And you know, when you're in an environment that you feel safe and supported and loved, and you're coming in and you're seeing these patients, they feel that from you, right?
Exactly.
But if you're coming in and you're stressed and you're high anxiety, they feel that stress, right? And it's going to trigger them. But when you come in and you're like, this is great, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, you're good. You know? I
give 'em a
truly believe
chance.
that. And that's real. Like, we don't have the issues here at this clinic with our patients like I have seen at other practices. But also, we have low stress handling here as well, right? We're not going to manhandle them. We're not going to throw 5 technicians on one dog and force them into a nail trim. Like, we don't do that. Same thing, like the same love and respect we give each other, we're going to give to our patients. We're not going to, you know, force those things on them.
Right.
And I think one thing that can is a great way to show. I apologize if you hear, but our phone is ringing right now. But I think one thing that is like a great way to show how we are so good at working together is that you have taken a group of people who are all coming from varying experiences, varying clinics and stuff, and kind of a group of misfits that all have a lot of experience themselves, and you've been able to take them and
mold them into
a great
even better,
team.
Amazing.
yes, than what
Amazing.
we thought we could
Yeah.
be.
Thank you.
Because there's not a single day that goes by that there's some random skill for some random thing that someone's like, oh, hey, I know that. And then there's like 4 or 5 people like, hey, I don't know that. Will you show that to me and stuff? Like, I kind of told you this, like when I got here and everything, there was not that many people that could do like cystos and stuff. So it was kind of like, oh, that's a skill that I've come from knowing, obviously, and stuff. So and everything, it's an interesting way to kind of see this ragtag group of people come together as, like I like to joke, the band of misfits.
Yeah, but it's because you're in a supportive environment, right?
Yes.
I have this thing I say, like we're only as strong as our weakest link. Only as strong as our weakest link. And so if I know it, I'm going to teach it. If you know it, you're going to teach it. If I see that Naya's struggling, I'm going to be like, Naya, let me help you. Let me show you what I know. Let me give you my knowledge. And that is supporting each other, and that is lifting each other up, and that is helping each other, and that is how a true successful team will function. So that is, again, and my whole vision of the best quality medicine, it starts with the team, right? Because only the best team can provide that type of medicine.
So kind of jumping ahead, we've talked about like when you started it, opening doors. So jumping ahead, you've hired some more people, all that stuff. When was your like, oh wow, hey, I'm doing this, kind of like I've made it? I don't not say where you want to be, because I know you, and I know you're never where you want to be. You want to keep moving forward.
Strive to be better.
But where did you have your epiphany of, holy cow, I'm doing what always my dream was supposed to be?
So I have a little secret for you guys. I want to say a few years in, probably around the time of COVID, I was like, okay, I did it. I'm done. No, I did. I promise I did.
Wow.
I did. I was like, I did it. I'm done. Because I had worked my whole life, and I had never taken vacations, and I had never relaxed, and I had never stopped to smell the roses. Like, that is a real thing, because I am sometimes, like, it's a double-edged sword. Like, I'm a driven person, and sometimes, like, there was a point in time in my life that I was like, okay, I did it. Can I just sit back and relax now and let other people, And then, but I'm going to 100% be honest. God was like, no, you're not allowed.
Yep.
Like, that's real.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real thing.
Especially
And
being a mother.
yeah. It's very real. So, then it's just, I see you guys, I'm going to be honest, like, I see you guys, and I'm like, wow, like, we've created this environment for people to feel, like, accepted and loved, and, like, a good work environment, and a place that they can come to, and just, the rest of the world goes away. And now I'm like, okay, I need to make room for other people. Like, right? I need more Elijahs and Nayas and Kaylas and Lilies and Megans. Like, I need more of you guys. And I want to create more space. So we have to expand, right? We have a good thing, and we have to keep it going, right? Because it's not fair.
Push out the old,
I
bring
want
it in.
every veterinary clinic to be like this.
There you go.
I want everybody to be like this. And I don't know how else to do it other than to expand what we have, right? So
Show them
yeah,
that
that's
it
my
is
little
possible.
secret. There was a moment in my life when I was like, and I'm done. But then I was like, okay, no, I have to keep going.
Never mind. Take it back.
Yeah,
Well, if anybody knows Dr. Mills, she loves Disney.
I do.
Loves Disney. Dresses up with Disney accessories, has the most cutest bags. But you mentioned that you weren't able to take the vacations and stuff now, but now you've been going to Disney.
Yeah.
You've been
So I didn't take vacations up until actually during COVID was when I started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're enjoying it now. You feel like it's well deserved. This is
Yeah.
that break I'm looking for, then get right back into business.
Yeah, I mean, I feel a little guilty sometimes, to be honest. But no, it's for my kids. If I didn't have children, I probably wouldn't do it. But I want to give my kids, the best life that I can while they're little. I know they're not going to be little for much longer, and there's going to be a day that they're not going to want to go to Disney with me anymore, and there's going to be a day that they don't want to hang out with me anymore. And so I'm just cherishing these moments, and I'm holding on as tight as I can until they don't want me anymore. But so that's true. Like, I didn't ever take vacations ever when I was in college at vet school, and even the first few years, even when I was a vet, like, I didn't take vacations, and I didn't. And COVID, I hit a wall, and I was like, okay, I have to live for Michelle sometimes. Like, that's really what happened.
Yes.
I was like, I have to live for me and not everyone else.
So
And
kind of
so,
like open your eyes to see everybody's going through stuff, and you're like, whoa.
yes,
What am I doing?
that's exactly right.
Understand.
And so that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to take vacations. No matter what's happening,
Yep.
I'm going to go.
Yep.
And I'm going to, because I love my job. I love you guys. But it's hard, right? We talk about this every day. Like, veterinary medicine is hard. It's a high emotion, it's a service that we're providing. It's high emotions, right? And I'm an empathetic person. I feel other people's feelings. And when I have a client that's, sad about their pet, like, I take that in. And so me going away with my kids and my family and just kind of having a refresh, it's what makes me be able to be 100% every time that I'm here.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to, again, why this place, at least to me especially, is so special. I mean, I've told you this story before about coming from where I was coming from. I was done with the vet field. I was looking for other jobs. It was kind of right after COVID where it was hard to come by and stuff. I was burnt out, compassion fatigue, all that. And then I got hired here only because I needed a job, was planning on only
God brought you.
was planning on only staying a few months as just a hey, do this.
Just to make
Went
some
back-
money, get my life started.
Went back to KSU to try a finished degree. That didn't happen. And then here we are 3 years later. I'm
You're
sitting
going to be an RVT soon.
I'm sitting in treatment
And you're
doing
going to be
a
with
podcast.
me forever.
Yay! Yay!
Yeah.
I would say what reeled me in, what made me think that this may be the place to start over fresh and feel like I can be who I can be was the managers.
Aw.
The management, how understanding they were and accepting and just very welcoming to my past experience, and then willing to also work with me, but with my work-life balance, and then also just take the time and practice with me as well as you did too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Megan, who's sitting over here quietly. We'll get her on here.
Yes.
I think we've talked about a lot of things during this podcast, but every subject we just talked about, we could make a whole nother
Oh, yeah.
podcast on.
This is just episode
This
one.
is just episode one. I mean, we have so many things that we can talk about the industry and how we can make it better. And you know, I do sometimes think about this, like, how can I get, you know, because I wish every clinic was like this, and it's, you know, it's a lot of work, Megan, right? It's a lot of work, but no matter what, being in this industry is a lot of work, and I would much rather work on what we work on every day, which is making a wonderful environment for us as a team, than I would, you know, putting out fires every day, you know, honestly. And so hopefully, I'm hoping that this podcast will help other people listen to what we're doing that's different, and so that they can maybe take what we're doing, implement it into their practice, and have a better environment to work in.
Well, one last thing I did want to talk about was, obviously you've opened a second location now.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about that in what you learned from doing it the first time that you're doing the second time now.
Yeah. So honestly, I mean, let's be real. I still have imposter syndrome. I don't think I know what it takes, right? I know I did it, but I don't feel like I did it. I feel like we did it. What's different about Marietta? So Marietta, a little backstory. Marietta was the very first location that I ever worked at as a vet. So it is near and dear to my heart. The location is. It's where I, you know, got the foundation for quality medicine. And when it fell into my lap, I felt like, okay, well, I've been asking, how do I expand what we have? And here it is. You know, we are expanding Ackworth, yes, but it's taking longer than I anticipated. And so Marietta definitely is our way to expand what we have, right? It's to expand our family. And we say, what, one fam, two hospitals.
Yes.
And it's a way to expand our family. What am I doing differently? I don't know. I think, honestly, I feel a little better this time because I don't feel like I'm by myself. I have my team, right? I feel better when I have you guys. I am only as strong as my weakest link, right? And we don't have a weak link here. So this time, I think, you know, I think the first time I was like, I don't know if it's going to work. If it doesn't, I'll just, like, move in with my in-laws. But this time I'm like, it'll be fine. It'll work. It'll be fine. Yeah, I think that's the best answer I can come up with is I'm doing what the Lord is telling me to do.
All right, so I have two things.
Yeah.
First thing, I think it's very beautiful that it started off with you asking, hey, can I buy your clinic? To, you know what, I'll just start from fresh. To, hey, I got your clinic. This is great. You end up getting it anyway, so that's awesome.
That's very true.
But last
I didn't
thing,
think of it that way.
some type of lesson between then, and I think you having to start over from fresh like that is what needed to make this foundation.
I agree. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot.
Then the last thing, if you could go back in time and tell your younger self something, what would it be?
Don't be so hard on yourself. Yeah.
That's a lesson.
No, it is. It's on the way to success, you feel like a failure, right? So I have to remind myself of that now and every day. That on the way to success, it feels like failure, and it's never going to feel like success till you're at the end. So don't be so hard on yourself.
It's true.
Yeah, because I'm my own biggest critic.
That's very true.
Well, thank you both for joining tonight.
Thank
I think
you.
it's been fun. Hopefully this is one episode of many more.
Yeah.
And so this has been The Doghouse with Mills Animal Hospital, a podcast that we are starting for veterinary medicine. Please, y'all listen. I'll have it posted on all Mills social media and everything on where all we can listen it and stuff. So probably be trying to post sometime in the next week or two. But thank y'all so much for your time.